right. I think we're live here at the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal.
That would make me terrible, Troy.
I'm Treacherous, Trista.
And we're joined by Liesel Hanson here for Women in Horror Month. It's very good to have you here.
Nice.
It's
So
1
happy
year
to be
in
here.
making. Yes.
Woo woo. Yeah,
We need a cool
one
element.
year late, but still here.
Lethal.
Yeah. Evil?
Lethal.
Oh, lethal. Liesel
Yeah.
Liesel. That's actually hard for me to say.
Yeah,
I
that's a tongue twister. I like it.
Yeah.
Lethal. Yeah, that's
Yeah, nobody can do
Yeah,
it.
it's harder than you think. Yeah. Just say
it'll
10
look
times
great in
fast.
print though. That's
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah, I'll get to work on that. So this last year's been crazy, but you made a short film that we played during the festival last year sometime, Help. So did you ever think of directing before you did that?
I mean, I did. I took a directing class in college. It was directing for the stage, and I really loved it. I mean, something about the kind of person that I am, I want to do everything. I have a very hard time limiting myself to one area of interest. But the thing about, I'm an actor, and as an actor, like, that's the thing that I know that I need to do. So I've always thought, like, maybe I would do some directing, but it always felt a little more casual, and like, how do you even get started, and how does that happen? But something about being inside, left to my own devices for a long period of time. I'm so, thank you for showing my short.
Oh, yeah,
I'm very proud
thanks
of
for
it.
sending it. Yeah, that was great.
I wanted to do something, and a friend of mine, Whitney Moore, who's awesome, was putting together a little, just for fun, a little short festival, and she assigned each of us randomly a letter of the alphabet. And so it was an A to Z, each of us make a short that's under 5 minutes. And I got H, and I made Help. And because I wanted to really make things 10 times harder on myself at every step, I did it all myself, using only, materials and supplies that I already had that I could use for free. So, like, just shooting it on my phone with, 2 broken tripods and nothing. And I'm really surprised and delighted that it's gotten into some festivals and gone around and, gotten some love.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Obviously wasn't a good time for anybody, but I did see a lot of cool creative things come out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, a lot of people just sort of getting back in touch with creativity for the fun of it, for the joy of it, rather than for the, like, commercial hustle of it.
Right.
At least that's, like, I saw a lot of my friends sort of, getting into, I think it comes from the same inspiration source as, like, all the people that were baking bread and all the people who were, taking up new hobbies like that. So.
Yeah, I learned pixel art.
Nice. Oh, that's right. I saw that. That stuff's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what was that experience like, creating Help all by yourself with no help?
With no help. It was really like a relief to see that I got to the end of that process and had, something that people could watch. It wasn't just like a pile of footage and nothing, like, so, step 1 checked off the list is make something that people can watch. Fantastic. It was a lot harder in some ways than I thought it was going to be, which I know sounds silly because I really was setting myself up for a challenge. I love a challenge, but, like, I had, I had a deadline that I was up against. I'd been working on it forever, almost like around the clock. And I hit the point where I had a free afternoon and I was like, okay, today's going to be the day where I write the music that goes in the thing. And I, for some reason, thought it was going to take a couple hours. I've never written a song. I don't know what I was thinking, but something about, I think I respond really well to having a deadline. So just sort of, like, keeping going and no time to doubt myself, I think really helps me in my case. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. I'm happy that it's got me sort of out of my own head as far as creativity and making something, and like seeing that if that's what I could do with those constraints and with that time crunch and with not knowing what I was doing, the next one's just going to be that much easier. So I'm really fired up about making stuff right now in general.
That's very cool. Yeah,
making more weird, gross art.
Yeah. What about that anthology with all the letters? Is it out there?
People have, I think, taken their pieces and put them up. But yeah, the anthology was just for us, and I think it was partially because people didn't want to worry about music licensing and stuff like that. They really wanted to get into it. But the short that Whitney Moore, whose festival it was, the short that she made is out. And I think it's probably still on YouTube. It's called Seed, and it's really gross in a way that delights me to no end.
Well, now we'll have to seek it out.
Yeah. She's cool. You should just know about her in general.
All right.
Yeah.
Trista, do you have a question?
I do. Sorry, my cat is... Hi, I'm so happy to see you.
I'm happy to see your face.
Your face too. I love your face. My question for you, Liesel, is I know you're always so busy. You're one of the busiest actors I know, and for good reason, because you're amazing. But so tell us about some of your upcoming projects.
Right now I'm waiting to find out what the next big thing is going to be. I don't know what the next thing is going to be, but there's, in that very actorly way, there's a bunch of things. My dog is crying. I don't know if you can hear, but everything's fine. There's just a mailman.
Winston checked in.
Winston. So there's a couple of things in the ether that are being talked about, but are not to a point where I could say anything yet. So send me good vibes.
Yes.
I'm definitely hoping that some good stuff comes through soon. And the sort of I'm ready for a project that has some meat to it. I want something that takes some time. But yeah, other than that, I started teaching myself, similar to the pixel art, I started teaching myself stop motion. So I'm very slowly working on my own another project.
That's something I'd always like to do too. I assume that's very time consuming.
Oh yeah, but in a great way. Like if you have a chunk of time where there's nothing going, there's no better way in my experience to make time go by than to sit down with a bunch of little things that you have to move very slowly. It's like, I'll go through 8 hours and think, oh, I should go to the bathroom, and then try to get up and realize that I've been sitting like on top of my foot in a weird way. So I have I'm working on that. I have a couple of projects that might involve some people who are here. I
might have found out about one just recently. Yeah.
I don't know. That we can't talk about yet. I assume we still can't talk about them. And I'm auditioning a lot. Most of my auditions right now are in the commercial zone. I actually have, not to brag, but I have 2 auditions today. So today has been a little bit of like crazy running around. Yeah, that's, I'm waiting. I'm waiting and I'm trying to not go crazy while I wait, basically. And like, that's part of what getting into a creative space where I can like control my own thing. That's part of what that is so great for, is just like, I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of the wait for the thing to come to me.
Right.
I also nudged my ring light. So hang on one second.
Oh, okay.
So I just really want to be super bright. There we go.
There we go. Yeah. That's an interesting question. Usually people ask for like your favorite of something, but Dean Maya wants to know what genre of horror do you hate?
What genre of horror do I hate? I'll say, I love a lot of things. It's a lot easier. It's very hard for me to pick favorites. But this is actually a little bit easier than that, because the first thing that springs to mind, I don't know if it's exactly a genre, but I am really, really tired of CGI, creepy ladies that crawl around and then bend over backwards and scuttle around in the CGI shadows like a little spider people. Right. I'm just tired. I'm just tired of murky CGI. I don't find it scary. There's very few times when something that has that look. Also, for a few years there were just so many movies coming out one after the other where the trailer had the person bending over backwards, and I'm like,
yeah. The first time you saw it's kind of cool, but then when you see it like in every movie, it's
like the bones cracking sound, and you're like, ooh. And then the second time, you're like, well, that's a contortionist with some CGI put on top of them, and that's great, good for them, but it's not. I find things that are practical effects and things
there's
that
something about you could tell the weight's there. It's actually
absolutely. I'd rather 10 times out of 10 would rather look at a cheesy, even if it's cheesy, like something.
Well, I always think
real,
like cheesy
tangible.
like cheesy effects that are practical still have a charm to them, where like bad CG just looks bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that CGI can be great for enhancing something that is real, or, making there be depth in a scene. And there's a lot of really great applications for it. But for creating something out of nothing, a lot of the time, I'm like, that's not scary. I don't like it.
Andrew Munster. Hello, everyone. Liesel, do you have a dream role in the horror genre?
Oh, that's a really good question. I've had the chance, traditionally speaking, I wind up playing a lot of like very, very fragile, very frail characters. And that's sort of, the last couple of years, I've gotten a chance to play a couple more like, sort of badass type people a little bit. And I want to keep going that direction and see what happens. I want to be... Like, really, I want to be Herbert West. Like, I want to be Herbert West.
There you go.
I want to be the person who's in charge. I want to be the person with the plan. I want to, saw people's heads off.
Nice.
I want to be the engine that drives the story. And whatever that means, I was talking to my boyfriend last night, and we were watching a movie with Maggie Smith, and she was wearing all these like fabulous outfits, and it was this really like dramatic. It's called Travels with My Aunt. It's not horror, but it's really fun. But she was wearing all these like sort of Moira Rose-esque, costumes and this sort of over the top thing. So I think somewhere between, being my version of the like down and dirty male protagonist of a horror film, but then also like I love that thing of being the grandiose,
And you can combine the two.
Yeah.
It's a new take on Herbert West.
Yeah. I mean, there's a I want to do everything, but yeah, I want to feel what it feels like to be the really bad guy, the really crazy guy, and like the person who is the motivation behind the movie.
Speaking of Herbert West, I've always seen a lot of pictures with you and Stuart Gordon. Was he like a mentor of yours?
I mean, I think so. I loved Stu. I think that God, I miss him. I miss him so much. He directed Reanimator the musical. I don't know if any of y'all saw that, but
I haven't. I always wanted to see it, but I've never seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen clips on YouTube, but
yeah. So he directed Reanimator the musical in Los Angeles, and it was supposed to run for 6 weeks. It ran for 6 months because we just kept getting extended. And then the next couple years of my life, we closed down, we reopened, we toured, we closed, we opened. So there was a chunk of about 4 years there where I was getting to be in Reanimator the musical. We did over 100 performances of that show. And it was a really big deal to me. Like, we all loved it. I think the group of us that were in that show from the beginning formed a really strong bond. I love those people. Graham Skipper, Jesse Merlin, Stuart was amazing. He was an amazing person. But I think it was an extra big deal for me because I was the only person who got cast in that show without knowing somebody who was already involved in it. So I really did walk in off the street. And not only that, but I had a Herbert West sticker on the back of my car that had been there since I was 17 when I parked at the theater and went in. And the guy who was working the sign-in sheet was like, "Hey, do you know the movie?" I was like, "Yeah, I know the movie." He was like, "Stuart Gordon's in there," and I was like, "Shh, shut up! Don't tell me that." But yeah, I think of him as Uncle Stu. I love him. He's one of the best storytellers, one of the most creative people, one of the warmest, and never. Even after 100 performances, never hit a point where the show was fine and he was done trying to make it better. There was always something. Even our last closing night ever, Graham Skipper, who played Herbert West, tells the story. Our last closing night, we're getting ready to do the show, and Stu comes backstage and starts saying, "I was thinking in this scene, maybe you could try this," and Graham's like, "What do you?" This is the last show. What are you doing? The theater does not normally work that way. Normally, you stop giving notes at a certain point. But Stu was like, well, it's one more show, so it's one more chance to get it right. So, which makes him sound like a taskmaster, but it was just like he loved theater so much, and we all loved the show, and we all wanted it to be as good as it could possibly be. So. Yeah, I'm so grateful.
Haven't seen the musical. Does it follow the movie basically?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it was Stuart's movie to begin with, and he was instrumental in turning it into a musical. The score, which is by Mark Nutter, turns it. It's very operatic. It's really good music. I think that's part of what makes it so successful is that it's not gimmicky at all. Each, just like in really good musical theater, each of the songs moves the story forward, and there's a lot of really intense earworms in the music. And I've been a huge fan of the movie since the first time I saw it, but I do think that the musical has the benefit of, you get to hear what the characters are feeling. So it's more that you get more invested. To me, I think, the emotional parts are deeper. It really is like, it's quite sad when characters start, getting hurt. It's like, oh no.
I really want to see it.
Yeah,
I've been wanting to see it anyway. But yeah.
I hope that it finds another life, because it was the most fun I've ever had on stage.
One of my brother here, Troy's favorite movies, so I watched it many times as a child.
Nice.
And as an adult.
Yep.
Oh, you're brothers.
Yes.
Yep.
That is the same last name. I gotcha.
But Jones is fairly common. So
Yeah, that's true.
I had a second where I was like, oh, like brother, but no, like brother.
Yeah,
Sure.
yep.
Yeah.
Not like, yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Literal brothers. Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if I go to check in somewhere or something, I'll give the last name Jones, and we have to be more specific than that.
Yeah.
Mr. Scott says, I can say from personal experience, storytellers, let Liesel Hanson be your Herbert West. She can do it and more.
Thank you. Hi, Scott.
And Mary Goodall says that she wants to see you more as a bad guy.
Hell yeah. I know Mary Goodall from we were at the same college together in Sacramento.
Really?
Way back in the day. Hi, Mary.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Trista, you have another question?
Yes, Liesel, I'm always curious about what scares horror creators. So do you have any fears or phobias you can tell us about?
That's a really good question. Let me think. I don't know if I have any fun ones.
Fun fears is.
Yeah. No, that's not true. I maybe not fun, but I am very scared. It's very specific, but anytime there's like my heart's already beating. A car that goes into the water, like in a movie, like when somebody is like trapped in a thing that's filling up with water, but especially a car. I saw a news story when I was very young where they were showing what happens and how you have to like break the window and cut the seatbelt and get out. And I think it really stuck with me. But yeah, the combination of car plus water, very scary to me. Mortality in general, not super fun. The idea of dying before you get to achieve anything. So super fun things that are normal. But yeah, as far as like heights and animals and stuff, I'm fine with all the animals until they're on me. And in general, I'm very drawn to things that I'm scared of. So I get scared by a lot of things, but as soon as I feel that, it makes me want to, like, I'm scared of guns, like really scared of guns, but that makes me want to go to a gun range and like get trained on how to do that so that I can not just because, so that then if I get in a movie where I have to play with guns, I can do it safely, and believably, but also because I like that feeling. I like that tension is very magnetic to me, which I think is part of the reason why I like horror to begin with.
I can ask that, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did I segue? Did I naturally segue?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Hey, there we go. I, especially as a kid, was very easy to scare. Super easy. Like everything gave me nightmares. Everything was scary. And then at a certain point, that just became a feeling that I liked. It didn't go away. I mean, I get scared by movies a lot less now. But every now and
a lot more now, but yeah, a lot less.
Every now, I mean, I've watched so many things now that it kind of evens out. But even every now and then you watch something that'll give you a nightmare, and it's like, yeah, that's the stuff. It's not a good feeling. That's not
how I feel at all. I never say that like yes.
I'll say I watched, and I was surprised by it too. When I watched Hereditary in the theater, I had to get up in the middle of the night and turn my lights on because I was having a full night terror. Like she was in the corner of my room, spidering around on the ceiling, and I had to like fully turn all the lights on. And it stayed with me, It's not a great feeling in the moment, but the feeling of something, really staying with you is so exciting.
Yeah, I think any type of emotional connection, even if it's a negative one, is
yeah. Well, and especially because I watch so much horror now that to feel like, oh, I can still get got like that is sort of like, ooh, yeah, they did good.
So what were some of the first horror movies that gave you that feeling? That like, ooh, this is too scary. Yeah, not even necessarily your favorite ones, but ones that gave you like that feeling that you're scared of this.
I saw like 5 minutes of Poltergeist at a friend's house when I was like 9. That I think it stayed with me even worse because I didn't see what happened, because it was like the TV was on, it was in the middle of the movie, and then they turned it off. But the clown under the bed stayed with me for years. I watched, when I was even younger than that, somebody put on, I was in a daycare thing, I think my parents went to a party, and somebody put on the Goonies. I was maybe 5 or 6, and I don't remember a single second of it because I think I just saw a skeleton and was just done for the rest. I don't think I got over it ever. So yeah, it was really easy. Like I was having nightmares from a Never-Ending Story, Return to Oz. Oh my God, Return to Oz scared the crap out of me. Like, not just there's a lady and she changes her head around, which is very scary, but like, there's a desert, you can't touch it. It turns you into sand. That's even before you get into, Dorothy's getting electroshock, which is not, how is that in a kid's movie? But it's one of the best. I love that movie. I want to ride the Gump. He's the best thing in the universe.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I think the first horror movies that I could handle were absolutely horror comedy. I think that was my sort of my runway into being a person who could appreciate it. Which is interesting because if I think of, what do I get cast in the most? What am I the most drawn to? It's horror comedy. But yeah, I watched Death Becomes Her. I watched Hocus Pocus. And then somebody at some point showed me Army of Darkness. And that, I think, was that blew my mind. Because it was scary, it was scary and it was
All the
gross.
monsters, even Reanimator was the same way.
Yeah. It had an intensity to the creatures and the scariness of it, but then it's so funny that you always have. It never got too much for me, and that really, I think, was the thing that made me think like, oh, I can handle this. Yeah,
as a big Dungeons and Dragons kid, Army of Darkness was a great.
Oh hell
movie.
Yeah. I'm becoming a Dungeons and Dragons kid.
Oh, really?
Like
I haven't
now,
played in decades, but yeah.
late in life.
I approve.
Yeah. As long as you find it, it doesn't matter when.
Yeah.
Mary says she can't put her feet out of the covers thanks to The Conjuring.
Nice.
And Dean agrees with Poltergeist being very scary.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And Return
Even
to Oz
now, if you watch it, that's a disturbing movie.
Yeah, actually, when you said the clown, I was that was stuff that would scare me as a kid because I have a lot of action figures. Anytime there was like a toy that would be possessed, or not even possessed, but would move around, it would be a scary toy would freak me out because I had a lot of action figures in my room, and I still do apparently.
Yeah, see, lots of things that could move.
Yeah. For me, it's floppy like toys, like sock monkeys.
Really?
I don't know why. Like,
I need to make a sock monkey.
Action figures are like, I don't know. I think because you've broken an action figure. And like with
a soft toy is more like flesh.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. What would you do? Like the sock monkey's rolling all around you.
Yeah.
You're screwed.
It's rolling all around you. I like that.
Yep.
It's
like a snake wrapping you up. It's like, nah, can't do it. I think that would be my weird fear.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I was so scared of ghosts. I was not scared of monsters. I was not scared of, because you can't touch the ghost. You can't push the ghost away. The ghost is going to do whatever the ghost does. And that was, in my kid brain, I think I had the thought of like, if it's a vampire, I'm going to go like that. If it's I can use my little kid fists and do something, but if it's a ghost, you're screwed. There's nothing you can do.
Right.
That's true. You have the rules for vampires. As long as you can, do the finger cross, you're all good with that.
Yeah, but ghosts and sock monkeys, they're just
you're
rolling
just
around.
screwed at that point.
Yeah.
It always goes back to ghosts and sock monkeys.
Yep. That's the name of my book one day.
When Troy and I were kids, we actually tried to make armor for action figures out of the metal off batteries, and we were breaking them with a hammer, and the battery actually went into my eye, and maybe that's why I'm afraid of action figures.
Ooh,
that could be it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, that was my fault because I'm 8 years older than Neal.
9, but we'll go with
So
All right.
definitely your fault.
Yeah.
Solidly, you should.
Oh,
do
without
better.
a doubt.
Yeah.
Not one of my better ideas at like 12 or whatever it was.
Still enterprising, you're making things, you're trying to do something. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, we can still try it out, I think.
And little Neal, he's fascinated. He's watching me, and I'm banging with the hammer away on like a 9-volt battery and squirt it all over him. And I'm like, yep, good. I just blinded my little brother. Great.
Perfect. Check that off the list.
Yep.
I was saying he was 12. It was like last week.
Yeah, it was. But
12 at heart.
We had just watched Forged in Fire, and I'm like, come on, Neal, let's make some armor for the figures.
Trista, you have another question?
Yeah.
Of course.
You mentioned Jack Bennett earlier, and he's also a great horror creator. So I'm wondering if you guys get to collaborate together, and if you do, how do your skill sets complement each other?
That's a good question. I think we're both waiting to find out about that. We've been talking a little more about, creative collaboration lately, but I think he's been really cool about I think he saw me starting to sort of, have a bigger urge to create, and my little like fledgling filmmaker instincts, and has made it very clear that if I need help, he's there, but otherwise he's gonna let me do my thing, which is great because, he is a great director and a great performer. And if he wanted to get all up in my biz, he absolutely could. But, having the space to be able to, fiddle around and then come to him if I need help, has been really great. And I get very nervous to show him, he's been the first person that I've shown, the couple things that I've made so far. And I get really nervous, but once he is into it, I'm not worried about anybody else. So, I would really like to. We've acted together a couple times, once or twice. But we haven't done the actor director thing really. Although I did have him, he's the first actor that I've directed in one of my shorts. But he did a voiceover bit for me. And that was great. I hope that I directed him well.
Yeah.
We didn't get into any big tense moments, so at least I didn't step on any toes, I don't think. But yeah, I'm really hoping that we get to work together on something bigger, because I think that he has a real sense of who I am as a performer, and I'd really like to see how much we could push me into like something that I haven't done before.
When was acting something you wanted to pursue?
I wanted to be an actor when I was super young. I think it was the first thing that I ever said I wanted to do. So maybe like 3 or 4.
Oh, wow.
5, somewhere in there. And my family, my lovely family, bless them, but they, I think, had a big issue with that idea because they, both of my parents are artistic, but do not come from performance backgrounds. So it was very like, oh, all those people and all those child actors, and they're all hooked on drugs and this and that. So I had a couple years there where I was really trying, at a very young age, trying to figure out what else I wanted to be. And, am I going to be a scientist? Am I going to be a vet? Am I going to, and at a certain point, my mom just said like, okay, we're going to put you in some theater and see what happens. So it's really the only thing that I've ever consistently wanted to do. It's kind of wild to think about, my goal my entire life really was never, people would say, oh, do you want to be famous? Do you want to be a big movie star? And I would say, no, I want to make enough money acting that I don't have to do anything else. that I don't have to have another job. Like if that's my job, then I'm great, and everything else is whatever it is. But I hit that goal a couple years ago, and that has been very strange because now I'm like, okay, I gotta set my sights a little higher now because I'm there, but I'm still not, performing in the things I want to be performing in. I'm still not at the level I'd like to be at. So it's just been very interesting. But yeah, I did theater my entire life growing up. There's plenty of other things that I like, but acting is the only thing that I need to do.
Do you still do theater?
Yeah, whenever I can. I mean, less now because it does take up so much time. But I'm in a theater company. I'm a member of Theater of Note. And I've done some fun stuff with them. We did a play called For the Love Of, or the roller derby play, a couple years ago that got to perform at the Kirk Douglas Theater as part of their, like, they do a thing called Block Party where they go to the smaller theaters and choose a couple of shows, and then the shows from these little black box theaters get to perform on the big fancy Kirk Douglas Theater stage, like professional, the most beautiful facility, everything. So and that was a super fun play too. It was like right up my alley because it's all roller derby and dance, and we did a bunch of roller skating together and dance training, and we had we got to design our own derby makeup, and it was the most fun ever. So yeah, when my love of performance and my love of like big, weird, extreme, I think the thing that makes me love theater is the same thing that makes me love horror, is like these opportunities to do something that is bigger and more different than what you get to do, in very grounded, smaller types of performing.
Did you have any experience in roller derby before that?
No,
Right.
I love it now though. Yeah, we all went out to somewhere like, I want to say like Pacoima. There was this big derby match in basically like a parking lot that they had tricked out, and it was so much fun. And seeing how hard they hit, it's serious. It's real. And those girls, seeing them with the giant bruises that are just covering like bruises and skid marks and broken bones, and these, tough, badass, hilarious women. I love it so much. But yeah, I have skates, but I'm not a derby person.
All right.
If I wasn't worried about, the face, maybe.
Well, very, very true.
Yeah. You got to think about the face.
Launch over Sophia and Michael. They just say, "Look at all these awesome people." That's very nice of them. That's definitely one we should read up.
Hi, friends.
Yeah, Jack Bennett has a big smiley face.
He does in life.
Yeah, I was just saying
in
that.
general.
Hi, Jack.
Dobbs wants to know. I guess this is for anyone, but we'll ask Liesel. What do you think Rosemary's Baby's up to these days?
The baby?
Yeah, the actual baby. That would be all grown up.
I mean, I don't know, but I want that baby to hit me up. They seem cool as hell.
Yeah.
I want to make friends with the devil.
Yeah. No, yeah, they make all these sequels to stuff from years ago. We can get a sequel to Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby. And it's about the baby trying to find its place in splitting the time between like a child of divorce, like two homes. So you've got like the human world and the a Persephone in the underworld sort of thing.
All right.
Don't steal that pitch. It's not a pitch yet, but don't steal. Shit.
We'll edit it out.
Yeah, snip that bit.
Mary Goodall, is there somewhere other than LA that you would want to do your job? City, country, or otherwise?
Ooh. I mean, part of the reason why I like acting is because I want to travel and go a lot of different places. Like there's only my thinking has always been that if I want to do every job and experience everything and go everywhere, my best chance is to get paid to pretend to be a bunch of different people. So I love, I've had a couple opportunities to travel for work, and I've really enjoyed it. They've all been to the desert, though.
Oh,
And I love the desert. But yeah, I mean, I'm California. I was born in California. I would love the chance to live in San Francisco at some point. I love that city. I was born there, but I've never really spent much time there as an adult. But also, yeah, I think that my hope is that at some point, I can loosen. LA could, if my career gets to a certain point, and then I can sort of loosen up the grip that LA has on me of like, you have to stay here in order to do this job. I would love to try living in New York. I would love to try living in San Francisco. I want to go. I want to go everywhere. I think I'd have to go some more places and try them out if I was going to know if I wanted to live there. But I will say I've been lucky enough to go to the Fringe Festival in Scotland as a performer twice already. And I know that's not indicative of what it's like under normal circumstances, because it's like you're going to theater Mardi Gras. But I will say both times I had a very hard time coming back home. I loved being there for every second. So I feel like, maybe the summer home is there, but yeah, I do love LA though. I love it here. The city, I've been here for many years and I feel very at home here. So I'm not looking to change it up anytime soon.
Michael does mention they actually did make a sequel to Rosemary's Baby. Look what happened to Rosemary's Baby. And the premise is very similar to what you pitched. Baby Adrian is now all grown up and separated from his mother, wrestling with the occult influence that plague him and trying to outrun Satan himself.
Wow. Now I'm trying to figure out if I knew that on a subconscious level or if I'm just really smart. I think the jury's out on that. Why did I think, what is the name of the title of the sequel?
Look what's happened to Rosemary's Baby.
Why did I think you were going to say,
movie?
Look Who's Talking To? Absolutely.
That's a completely different movie.
The sequel to Rosemary's Baby is Look Who's Talking To.
Let's see. Andrew wants to know, do you like working with newer directors or directors with more experience?
I've worked with a lot of newer directors. I think it just depends on the director. I like working with somebody as a director who's collaborative, who's gonna, pay attention to what I'm doing and offer suggestions. I don't ever want to be in a bubble where I'm just making the decisions, and because sometimes you work with somebody and it, who knows, maybe you're on a time constraint or you got to get the next shot or whatever it is, but you start feeling like there's not a lot of feedback, and then you have to remind yourself like, okay, if it wasn't working, they would have me do something else, so it must be at least working. But I do really like collaborating with people. Yeah, so whoever's gonna enter into that kind of relationship with me, I'll be happy with. I'm confident enough that I can go onto a set with a newer director and make choices and do my job. But it's really fun when there's a good why don't you try? I love that. Anytime I get the hey, why don't you try this? I'm like, yes, tell me whatever it is. I want to try it. So.
Jack wants to know, ask Liesel if she's hiding the Fright Night cross-shaped burn under her bangs today.
No, not this time. Yeah, we did Jack and I have both been involved in readings a couple times, like Zoom readings of scripts, and there was a reading of Fright Night that I did.
Evil Ed?
I was Evil Ed, yeah. And
nice.
and it becomes a sort of thing with these readings where people are sort of hiding props and sort of trying to outdo each other, like an unspoken sort of element to it. And this was my first one of those. So I had my bangs down the whole time. And then when it got to that point, I gave it all. And I think it really That's really surprised some people because I didn't know any of them. But I wanted to give. I love Evil Ed so much.
I love Evil Ed too,
and I
yeah.
wanted to give it that little
you
extra
have to.
pizzazz. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so cool, Brewster.
Yeah. It's such a good. I was like amazed that they let me play that part.
That's great. That's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that movie gets enough credit because everyone thinks of Scream being the first like self-referential horror movie, but they were doing it, saying about all the rules of vampire movies. I think Scream is very similar.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of both of those movies, but I feel like Scream isn't even in the same category as Fright Night. Fright Night, it's Fright Night for me. It's Chris Sarandon.
Oh, he's the man in that.
He is the vampire of my life. He's amazing. I love it so much. He's so hot in that part. It's not that doesn't have anything to do with anything. He has that sweater with the boat neck. It's very important for a lot of reasons that have nothing to do with that also. But Evil Ed's one of the best characters. I love him.
Oh yeah.
And Michael does say, Troy, you're right. It was a TV movie.
Was it? All right. I had that feeling.
Trista, another question?
Yes. Can you talk about some of the pros and cons of working on bigger budget projects versus little indie projects?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, there's a lot of, in my experience, there's a lot of like comfort and luxury that you can get, a lot of food, a lot of places to sit, a lot of, people taking care of you and your body. When you're on something with a bigger budget, there's like a cushion of money, often, that you don't get when you're roughing it. But there's also, the drawback to that is that I've been in situations a couple times where I'm on set, especially for commercials, where you don't know anybody, and not only do you not know anybody, but you literally maybe don't even know who the director is or what they look like, because they're way back on the other side of the room behind a giant wall of monitors, and so they just become this voice that just sort of like at you, and you can't even. My first commercial that I did, everybody was so lovely, but I was brand new on working on that scale, and I couldn't figure out where anybody was because there were so many lights and monitors and things that I just it's a weird space to be in, to be performing like that, to feel very disconnected from the people that you're working with. On the other side of things, I worked on a feature where I was the only woman on set for almost the entire time that we were filming, and we were filming like in a big dry lake bed in San Bernardino. We were filming out out in the Salton Sea, out on Bombay Beach, and we're out in the middle of nowhere, and there's no bathroom, there's no porta potty, there's no nothing. So I definitely have pulled a few, like, go behind the truck and just sort of figure it out, which is not the way. There's something, I kind of love it on some level. There's something that I really love about being the person who's down and who can just get in there and make it work. But yeah, there was one night where we were out by like a shack in the dark and the cold, and then also there's no bathroom, and it's like, no, stay where the light is because you want to make sure there's no snakes or anything. And that was a point where I was like, I don't need to be the only girl on set. Like, I like being able to tough it out, but I don't need. What if there was one other lady here who could be like, hey, we need a bathroom, we need toilet paper, what's happening? So there, the feeling of being able to to be tough and make it work is something that I think I really respond to. Like I kind of love that, but when you don't have that cushion of money around you, things can sometimes get real silly real fast. And just because it's, because it's Women in Horror Month, I'll just mention something that popped into my head just then, which is that I've worked with very few women directors on professional sets. I've worked with tons of awesome women in the low to no budget zone. Like amazing women in control, in power, and as far as, of the generous handful of commercials that I've done, zero of them have been directed by a woman. So if you're out there and you think, should I give women a whole bunch of money to make things? Yes. Give women money and they can make things.
Well, I would say, like exactly what you said there about independent horror films, because that's most of my friends and people we have on the show. Yeah, they're much more, it's not even really a question. Do we let a woman, do a horror movie? They're directing all kinds of stuff.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But not a lot of money power behind that. And there's some amazingly talented women that I know who would be kicking so much ass if someone just slid them some money and said, like, go for it, go ahead and do it. So that's my hope. That's my wish this Christmas, is that all the women get money to make things.
Very good. By the way, I like the cup.
Thank you. I didn't select it on purpose. It's just always Halloween.
Right.
Oh,
Jack got me this cup. Thanks, Jack.
Good earrings too. I like those.
Thank you. I bought these recently. These are replacements for a pair of chainsaw earrings that I used to have and then lost. So I just recently got these. I was like, I only had 10 minutes in between my last audition and this. So I was like, what am I going to do? Do I look all right? Do I need something horror-y? My entire life is horror-y, but what am I going to do? Oh, I know.
Yeah,
so,
chainsaws.
Thank y'all. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are just your favorite horror movies? We asked, the ones that scared you, but what are some of your favorite horror movies?
No, I'm so bad at choosing favorites.
I remember you mentioned this earlier, but yeah.
I love The Thing. I love Reanimator. I love Rosemary's Baby. I'm not just saying that because we just mentioned it. It's one of my favorites. I love, lately, this is like a new favorite, but Ravenous is sort of like just in the last year really climbed up to the top of my list. I love Ravenous. I love Argento, so really into opera, Suspiria, both Suspirias. I love both Suspirias.
Too. I thought that was one of the better remakes.
Oh, it was so good, and it lived in its own space.
Yeah, it's completely different.
It had its own flavor. The music, oh my god!
Because when I first heard they were remaking it, it's a weird movie for me to picture remaking, because it wasn't really about the plot of the movie. It's more like the atmosphere. But they did something completely different with it. Yeah,
and like visually so unique. Like I wouldn't have thought that if somebody had taken away, the juicy colors and the ostentatious sets that I love so much about the original Suspiria, that I would have loved it. But it just changes it so completely, and it makes it so I love both of those movies so much. I really love what am I trying to say? I love suspense. I love an unreliable narrator. I love ghosty stuff. Creatures. Yeah, Fright Night, big time. I love a big goopy movie. Like I know a lot of people say, you know, I don't want all that torture porn, I don't want all that gore, but like a movie with goop.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm thinking of Demons specifically. It just popped into my head.
I was thinking like
But,
Street
like-
Trash or something. But,
Yeah. That was introduced to me by. I'm just gonna spend my entire time talking about Jack. Jack showed me that movie. He loves that movie.
I'm a fan as well.
I slept through it the first time. It was not. I don't know how. I think I was just really tired, but greatly enjoyed it. I love Frankenhooker.
I do too.
You know, I love Dead Alive. So I think those fit into a goopy. I want something that gloops up and then explodes.
Yes.
We recently rewatched The Howling. I love the transformation in that. I just saw Night of the Hunter for the first time.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, I loved
That's
it
a
so
great
much.
movie. Yeah.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And you know, as far as that counts as horror, right?
I count
It's
it.
I mean, it's certainly suspenseful, it's certainly
Yeah,
dark,
it'd be a
but like
thriller or
I think
whatever.
it gets put in that category.
Yeah.
It was just it's gorgeous and haunting and beautiful. I'm really into Korean horror. So like The Host.
I'm a big fan of The Host too.
Yeah, The Host, Thirst. Yeah, there's a lot of movies in that zone that I really enjoy. So
And,
I don't.
Melinda-
I'm sure that as I'm like listing off all these movies, I'm not saying the thing that's like, oh, duh, of course that's my favorite, but I like a lot of things.
Melinda Decay says you are great, Liesel. So,
Melinda, hi. She's so good at acting. She's just the best.
She's the best at acting, Melinda.
And just a lovely human.
I have to shout this person out because they just sent in a super chat. But so it's a shout out to Princess Unicorn Nipples for sending us some money here.
Oh, what's up?
Thank you.
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
I'm
So
into
I don't know
that.
how you follow that, but how do you follow you, Liesel? If people want to see what you're up to,
on the internet,
right?
or on the street,
yeah,
but at
to your house. I
respectful
don't know.
distance.
Whatever you're comfortable with. I don't know. But, yeah.
I'm Hanson L on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. If you can spell my name right, you can find me. That's the trick.
Yeah.
Well,
if you're watching this, you can just copy and paste it.
Oh yeah, brilliant. Also, I am on hiatus right now because COVID happened and I couldn't continue in the way that I wanted to. But I started one of the things that sort of started my creative journey is I started doing a little variety show.
Cool.
Just in my living room and inviting one person over and doing, as a way to sort of like loosen up the creativity.
Yeah.
Just being like, do whatever you want. And it literally don't even try to make it good. It doesn't even matter if it's good.
That's always been my motto.
Yeah, right. It's really liberating. I'm digging it. But so that show is on Instagram. It's called Cursed Cabaret. We did an entire season of it. I say we because I'm talking about me and my dog, who's my producer.
Okay.
But yeah, so we did that, and that was.
Can we follow
super
Winston
fun.
anywhere?
Yeah. Just on my socials. He doesn't have his own. He's not that big yet. He's just a small
He's
boy.
closely monitored.
Yeah. We don't trust him on social media just yet. But yeah, so my own personal stuff, and then also check out Cursed Cabaret, and then also I'm going to be posting my short at some point. I'm waiting on one more festival to see if it gets in, and if they say no, then I'm going to be like, I think that's it, and just put it up online so people can watch it.
Very good. Yeah. Well, thank you for being on. This has been very fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great seeing y'all and
Yeah, it was a great
and
time.
meeting you, Troy.
Yes,
brother.
yes, indeed.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we'll do this again sometime.
Hell yeah.
And thank everyone for listening. A lot of people in the chat tonight.
Woo, woo, woo. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. I'm gonna
Bye.
wait.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.